What's up, fam? The leads aren't weak. You're weak. Don't be weak. Today's video is really simple. I'm going to talk to you about 100K versus 300K and why I think it needs to be 300K. For whatever reason in our society, the standard has always been make $100,000 a year. That's really not enough money to do what you need to do. And the reason I say that is I say it like this. To make $100,000, chances are good, well, factual, you're gonna make about $8,000 a month. After taxes and everything, you're probably gonna lose around 20% of that, depending on where you live, give or take. So you're really only walking away with a little over $6,000 per month. Your average home in America is 250 grand. You're probably going to be somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 of mortgage, taxes, utilities, yada yada bullshit. So that then leaves you with about $4,000 of money left over. In the insurance industry, you have to buy your leads. So if you're spending $1,000 a week in leads, you need to make more than $100,000 a year to justify that money. Even if you're only spending $500 a week, it leaves you with about $2,000 at the end of the month to survive for extra costs, ancillary things. Money gets ate up very quickly. So that's why I don't think $100,000 really is a fair metric or a good shooting. It's not a good goal anymore because it's not enough money to really do anything. I mean, the average salary in the United States is like $52,000 or $49,000, depending on which study you look at. I don't know how people survive on that low of income. I just don't get it. I feel like $100,000 is a struggle to survive on, particularly if you're in the insurance industry and you're trying to create a business. Even if it's just you, it's not sustainable enough or worth doing. That's why I think the $300,000 mark is way better. And the reason for that, I'm gonna break it down for you numbers wise. So we'll say you make $300,000, you lose 30% of that money to Uncle Sam. That makes a $200,000 revenue in your pocket. You're gonna spend about 50 grand a year for your appointment set or your back office. So 200 grand in your pocket minus 50 is about $150,000. We'll say per month, we'll break it down per year. You spend 50 grand on your leads, that's 100 grand left. So you have to live your life on $100,000. So now that's about $8,000 a month left versus the $2,000 you had at 100 grand. You can do a lot more with it. And I also gave you a very good lead budget of $1,000 per week. So it's not a whole lot of more work to make a whole lot of more money. And why I say that is to say this. The reason you want to shoot higher is because even if you don't get to the $300,000 metric, say you come up short, you get 250. The numbers are still in your favor the whole time. It would be very uncommon for you to shoot for a $300,000 income in insurance and get to $100,000 and not make it. That means you either did not work, you've been trained completely wrong, you're incredibly lazy, you're a fraud, or I don't even know, you're full of shit. There's no other way to do it. So I think that should be the industry goal. I know Brad Lee is pushing that a lot, make 300K in insurance. And that's why I always say my train of thought on that is 300K is a lot of money until you hang out with someone who makes $1 million a year, someone who makes $3 million or $4 or $5, $10 million a year. And then you realize your perception shifts that's really not that much money. Like a $300,000 a year business is not a big business. It's just not. And yeah, it's just you, but it's not a big business. And it's not got much scale. It doesn't have a lot going for it, but you need that capital to grow. You need that capital to get larger. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the $100,000 mantra. If you're a sole proprietor, you're just one person, you want to write a little bit of insurance, you live in a relatively cheap area that, you could have $1,000 a month mortgage, more power to you. But that's not for me. That's not for my family. And I know in our industry right now, it's a big thing, with social media and all that, to see the Rolex, to see the Lambo, to see the jet. It's a rah-rah culture. Like, let's go out and sell life insurance. Let's go sell Medicare. It all comes down to what you want to do. I just think the average agent has to have that number in their mind that, in the next 1 to 5 years, I need to generate $300,000. And it's really simple numbers wise. So $300,000 a year, you say, Nick, how is that possible? Well, with Medicare and final expense, it should be very, very doable, if not, almost easy, because the numbers work out so nicely. In 5 years, you have to sell 1,000 Medicare policies. That's 250 policies a year. That is not a staggering number by any means. And if you're selling life insurance, you can bring down that number of Medicare policies. So we'll say you sell 100 Medicare policies and you sell 150 to 200 final expense policies with an AP right around $500. The numbers will always stack up in your favor, and by year 3, you're making well over 300 grand. Easily. So there's not a lot to it. I'll go into more detail on that. I'm going to do some real in-depth deep dives on how income is generated and how to do it. But that's why I think in today's world, we need to focus on bigger goals. Agents need to think bigger and long-term, because this is a business of longevity. Survive 5 years and see where you're at. Normally by year 3, everybody quits. That's why 10% of the agents write 90% of the business. It's unbelievable. So get your mind right, open up your thought patterns, think about that 300K dream, and go get it relentlessly for 5 years. Thank me when you're successful. And if you want to work with me, DM me below, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We got a lot of folks on the path and a lot of guys that are on the $1 million path. Next video is going to be how to make $1 million on renewal. Wouldn't that be nice? Talk about 2 Lambos. We'll wear a Rolex on each arm. See you there.